Good morning. In this video, I want to finally give you the insight on how to calculate the exemption for the unemployment up to $10,200 per taxpayer. A couple of weeks ago, I came out with a short video and said, do not file your return until we get further guidance on the IRS on how to exclude this unemployment. And I said as soon as that we got guidance that I would come back and do a video on how to calculate it. So they came out with the new guidance yesterday. Actually, I have to back up for a second. They came out with guidance a couple of weeks ago that was wrong, just absolutely wrong. It didn't comply with the law, it didn't follow the law, but that has changed. So first point in watching this video, do not follow any guidance on how to do what we're going to do this morning on calculating on a 1040 tax return. What is the correct exclusion up to $10,200 of unemployment? The actual instructions to the worksheet for unemployment exclusion, the IRS, when they came out with it a couple of weeks ago, the calculations were wrong and they corrected them as of yesterday. So to the point, this video is based on instructions on March 24th forward. Let's go on ahead and in this case, we're going to look at a couple things. One, we're going to look at how to do the calculation to make sure your software is correct. So you can look and review it and see if it's working right. Secondly, if you haven't done your return or you do it paper-wise, we're going to go step by step on how to determine the excluded amount. Now, in order to do that this morning and to save time and get to the point, what we've done is that we have, as you can see here, this is actually a return that numbers have been modified, but this is actually a live return that I worked up this morning for this purpose. So we've done the 1040 down to adjusted gross income. And this is kind of how your computer works, but if we were doing this manually, we would fill out the 1040, we'd go down and put down wages, interest, dividends, capital gains, etc. Once we got to our adjusted gross income, then we'd stop and we'd do what now is this new form. Here it is, as of yesterday, updated. And what we're going to do on this new form is it's the unemployment exclusion worksheet. This is the worksheet that was wrong prior to yesterday. So this is, well, it actually wasn't a worksheet, it was in the instructions, but now there's a worksheet out. We've done the return down to adjusted gross income on your 1040. Or again, if you're following along and you're trying to check your software, because not all softwares do things always the same. We're going to work through this morning. Line 1, a little line here to make sure that we can see this. Okay, it says line 1, enter the total from lines 1 through 7, form 1040 or 1040 SR. We're just going to go ahead and work with the 1040 here. And so what I want to do, get me another pen here. Let's go over to our 1040. And I'm going to go over here to our 1040 that we just did. Over here it says lines 1 through 7 form 1040. So that would be lines 1 through 7. So right here. So we're going to take down to line 8. That total of these is actually, the total here is $87,481. So what we're going to do is take this number here and we're going to put it in on line 1. Right here, as you can see, 87,481, lines 1 through 7. Let's go to our next line on the unemployment exclusion worksheet. Let's go to line 2. Enter the amount from Schedule 1, line 1 through 6. So we've got another one. Let me highlight. We've got, we've got lines 1 through 6 on Schedule 1. Well, we happen to have the Schedule 1 here. I'll move the 1040 front page. What's our thought line for line 2? We want line 1 through 6, Schedule 1. So we're on Schedule 1. So that's going to be line 1 through 6. And that total line 1 through 6 is going to be a minus 13,064. So what have we done now? We've added up, we've went to the 1040. Well, first let's transfer this number 13064 over to here. So we've now verified both these numbers. At this point in time, line 3, we have no entry on most returns. So line 4 says add lines 1, 2, and 3. So we add 1, 2, and 3, and we come up with 74,417. 74,417. Now, what have we done? We've technically, if you notice here, we've added up the income on the front page of the 1040, and then all the other additional income on part 1 of the schedule 1, except for, and here's where the rub was, the difference in opinions, unemployment compensation. So at that point in time, we have now on line 4 here, all the income, except we haven't included unemployment. Because what the law said is that the reason why I have to do this calculation here is we also have an income limit we're going to find out of $150,000. So if your your modified adjusted gross income per this worksheet hits 150 or over, then you get nothing. And I'm actually, after this video, immediately after this video, I'm going to do a follow-up video on the 150 cliff. So literally you get $1 over and you just lose everything. But that's for that video. Today, what we're doing here on this one, we're looking at how we're going to add up this worksheet. So now we've picked up all of our income. Let's go back to our worksheet, okay? And we're going to go to line 5, enter a total of 10C, form 1040. That's 10C. So if I go back here, again, I look at my 10C. I think this was student loan, but right here, I've got 10A, I've got 237. We bring that over off of 10C right here. So we've got all the adjustments to income, because we're trying to get to adjusted income. That now is over here in our worksheet. So now we have the most important thing in this calculation is what is modified adjusted gross income. Underline that. What is modified gross income? Is this amount on line 6, 650,000 or more? If yes, stop. You cannot exclude any of your income. If no, in our case, no, we go to line 8 and continue. Down through line 7, what we've tried to do is calculate modified adjusted gross income per this worksheet. And what we've done, we've excluded, in effect, picking up the unemployment into calculating 150 to see if we qualify for this up to 10,200 exclusion. So let's now go back to our worksheet and complete it to see what our answer is going to be this morning. And it says, enter the amount of unemployment compensation you were paid in 2020 and not to enter more than $10,200. 10,000, because that's all you can exclude. In our case, this client had unemployment of $6,444, which is less than 10.2. So now we should find out here in a moment that we get the 6144 tax exempt. We should not have to pay tax. So in this case, we move on down. The next line is if your spouse, if you're filing jointly, unemployment, you can have up to 10,002 for the spouse. So on a married filing joint return, you could have up to 20,400 of unemployment excluded as long as both spouses had equal to or greater than 10.2. Again, in this case, we only had one spouse that had unemployment. It was $6,144. So now the amount, it says on line 10, it says, and I'll read here, add line 8 and 9, the error amount here. This amount of unemployment compensation is excluded, so it's going to be excluded. And we're going to go to Schedule 1, line 8, and type in UCE 6144. What we're then going to do is go to Schedule 1. So we're back to this schedule. We're going to go to line 8, put in the UCE and the $6,144. We see it entered here on line 8, right here. And guess what? That becomes, we get a deduction of our unemployment So then we're now ready to total up part 1 of additional income items. And in this case, if you notice on line 7, earlier we did not, on the worksheet, we did not include the unemployment on the worksheet because it's not part of determining the $150,000. But when we're over here on the additional income adjustment to income, we left the 6144 unemployment on line 7. But then on line 8, we get to subtract it off. So this is where you determine that it's not in your income. So then this 13,064 is our combination of our other incomes. And if you will look, you will then find right here that 1364, this number right here, ends up being the number on line 8 of our 1040. So real quick recap on this. Again, we did it with one unemployment, and what we did is we worked the return through until we had all the items, and then what we did is we had adjusted gross income. But then what we did is we went back, did the worksheet, we pulled the income over to the worksheet except for unemployment to determine whether we're over the 150,000 threshold. That was here on line 7, because again, if we were 150 or more, then we get no exclusion. It's like falling off the cliff, as I mentioned earlier. And then if in our case we said no, we were under the 150, so we continued to fill out the unemployment exclusion worksheet. And in doing so, we determined the 6,144 was all excluded. That was 100% of our unemployment. And that ended up over here on Schedule 1 on line 8 as a deduction, as you can see where I've got my finger. And then that became an adjustment to Schedule 1, Part 1, additional income. It became part of adjustments to income. So the net additional income is $13,064 negative. That goes from line 9, Schedule 1 again, in recap, to line 8 on your 1040. And then you continue to do the 1040. I hope this walkthrough helped. I hope the recap to characterize helped. And again, in my next video, I want to talk about that 150,000 cliff, and I'm going to be focused on this line 7 on this unemployment exclusion, in case some of you out there have this situation. So I know it's been a long tax season. We've had a lot of law changes. Stay with me, stay tuned, and I got a feeling we're going to be doing this on through the summer. But please, hit the button there, share. Hope this helps, and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.